Jared, let's start with the president's Made in America pledge. Former President Trump did a great job talking about Made in America, getting voters excited about his commitment to that. But at the same time, Jeff said it, our government spends over $600 billion buying stuff, and a lot of that money doesn't go to U.S. companies. How does this executive order specifically address that?
Yeah, in all the ways that Jeff ticked off, finally setting up a systematic procedure to wrap our arms around this very significant problem. As you said, $600 billion a year in procurement. That's about 3% of GDP. Even in Washington, that's real money. Let me back up for half a second to give you some economics kind of underlying this executive order. You know, Joe Biden has always recognized that globalization and increased trade flows are a double-edged sword. No question, these flows are positive in terms of increasing the flow of goods and services into our country and holding down price pressures. You know, that's a real attribute. But at the same time, Joe Biden is a politician who has long recognized the downsides of globalization, manufacturing factories that have long been hurt, communities that have been hurt, and the way this has leached into our politics in a way that too many people in power have ignored this problem. We're just throwing, another trade deal at it and kind of crossed their fingers and hope that it worked out. That's not the way he rolls on this. He has long been very committed to increasing manufacturing opportunity and employment in this country. And one way to do that is getting our arms around the waiver process, as Jeff said, creating a senior position in the executive office of the president to oversee so that we stop granting all these ad hoc waivers. And one of my personal favorite parts of this, expanding the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, a small agency within the Commerce Department that is instrumental in making sure small and diversely owned manufacturers can plug into international supply chains and to this procurement process.
Then how did we get here? I cannot imagine a lawmaker on either side of the aisle saying, yeah, let's stop doing business with U.S. manufacturers. Let's go with overseas businesses. How did we get here to begin with?
Great question. The reason we got here to begin with is because there's been no oversight of the Buy American provisions. Now, these are provisions that have existed for, since the 1930s. But I remember because Joe Biden reminded me that when we were in the Recovery Act, there was a front page story about how Recovery Act dollars were flowing out of the country buying Chinese steel. Let me tell you mildly that wasn't okay with the vice president at the time, and it's not okay with the president now. So what he's doing here is setting in place a process that will establish domestic content rules, that will get their arms around the price waivers and the country waivers that let so many of these procurement dollars leach out because nobody's watching the shop. And that probably is the best way to look at this executive order. It sets up the first systematic procedure to really enforce Buy American rules.
Katie Porter said it last week, oversight shouldn't be political. I do want to talk about the call yesterday. A group of senators, both sides of the aisle, on a call with your colleague, Brian Deese, all focused on this next economic relief package. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, I wasn't on the call, but I've gotten a readout from my colleagues, and I think it was much as Jeff described it. There was a sense of urgency in the room, and it was a sense that was shared by both sides. I've been listening to your show for the last few minutes, and the situation in terms of virus control and vaccine production and distribution is, as dire as the president has said. But he is coming in with his team. And again, it's not unlike what we were just talking about, a systematic procedure that has heretofore not existed to get this vaccine into people's arms. But that's going to take resources, and it's going to take resources to open the schools, to make sure that people continue to get unemployment insurance, to make sure folks get the checks they need to meet their struggling economic conditions, to offset hunger, to offset evictions. All of this is critically important. And while I hear Republicans saying, let's see how the first plan worked, I'm sorry, that's insufficient. The first plan was a great down payment. Congress took too long to get there, but they did a good job. Now we have to look around the corner and recognize that that plan is but a down payment that runs out before we will have this crisis to ground. And so that's why the urgency of this plan is so foremost in our administration's mind.
Well, what about a standalone bill that some members of the GOP say could work, that gives a ton of money just for vaccine distribution and leaves everything else out? This idea that once we actually have vaccines in the arms of the American people, we're going to see pent-up demand. Consumers want to spend. Jobs will come back.
Yeah, this is not a light switch. This is a dimmer switch. It's not going to work that way. And, you know, you yourself said a few minutes ago, it's exactly the way I think about it, which is this is a dual crisis. And so you don't attack one without attacking the other. Absolutely, we have to implement the vaccine distribution and virus control that is so thoroughly articulated in this plan with a federal and scientific and epidemiological presence that's heretofore not existed. But we also have to walk and chew gum at the same time and deal with the economic crisis. You know, one analysis by Mark Zandi of Moody's found that if we don't implement the rescue plan, the $1.9 trillion plan, it will take us 1 year longer to get back to full employment. Now, that's a particularly serious strain for communities of color, for Black and Hispanic workers whose unemployment rates are often multiples of the national rate. So the economic crisis is part and parcel of the health crisis. And you're not going to, you know, it's not like people are going to get jabbed in the arm and all of a sudden the economy is going to blossom. It's a much more gradual process. And I think the timing of the rescue plan really takes that into account.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.